Hi there, and welcome to my humble wood shop. My name is Nils with Learn to DIY Woodworking. Today we'll be covering 10 tips and tricks for measuring tapes, episode 1. Now for these 10 tips, we're going to start with some of the more basic things that you should know about a tape measure, and then we'll work our way up to the more advanced stuff with number 1. Number 10 on the list, the hook on the end of a measuring tape is loose on purpose. You've probably noticed that the hook on the measuring tape will move back and forth a little bit. That movement should be the exact thickness of the hook itself. And that's so that when you hook onto something like this, it's going to pull out and give you an accurate measurement. And then when you push in against something, it will push in to compensate and give you an accurate measurement there as well. Number 9, don't have a pencil handy? You can use the hook as a scribe. Let's say you don't have a pencil handy and you want to mark this board right at 10 inches. All you have to do is put that on the 10, hold this measuring tape body right up against it, and then from there you can lock it in place and then just scribe back and forth on your piece. Then you can just use the line here to make your cut, or you can grab a pencil later and easily fill that in. Number 8, use the measuring tape upside down as a better straight edge. Let's say I've placed a couple of marks at 12 inches, one here, and I need to draw a straight line. I can actually turn the measuring tape upside down, line it up with my marks, one there and one there. It kind of holds itself on one end, and by having it upside down, it creates a pretty rigid line here that I can use to draw a nice straight edge. Number 7, always use an arrow to mark your measurements rather than a line. Let's say I wanted to make a mark at the 5 inches here. A lot of times what we have a tendency to do is that. And while part of that may be touching the 5 inches, a lot of it is actually off, so that is not a very good way to mark. If I want to mark it at 6 inches, to show you a better way, just draw a little arrow. So start right on the line, go out one direction, out the other direction, and then it's very easy to see exactly where we need to make our cut. Number 6, standout. Every measuring tape will have a different standout, so be sure to check that out while you're shopping for tapes. A break test helps you measure what the standout is on your measuring tape, and that determines how far it will hold out by itself before it bends or breaks. And this is really helpful to know for when you want to do a lot of measuring by yourself and you don't need a second person. So here I'm at 47, and then usually right on this one I think it's rated for about 4 feet. So at 48 inches or 4 feet it breaks, and that's how much I know that I can count on with this. Whereas if I use my Stanley Fat Max here, for example, this one should easily handle 10 or 12 feet or more. Okay, 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet. Here's 10. So it's holding up at 10. Let's see if it can do 11. Okay, so somewhere between 10 and 11 is the break point for this one. This is usually marked on the outside of the measuring tape when you purchase them. Number 5 on our list is the knee trick. Sometimes you just don't have enough tape on hand to get the measurement you want. So let's say I wanted to measure from ceiling to floor right here. Put this out, hold it up against the ceiling, and then start to go down, and I realize my hand can't reach. I don't have enough tape out, so I put my knee up, pull back with my other hand, and then I can get right down to the floor to find my exact measurement. Number 4 on our list is understanding the layout markings for joists, trusses, and studs. Understanding the markings on your measuring tape can save you a lot of time. The first and most obvious set of markings is at every foot. So 1 foot, 2 foot, and so on. And a lot of times metric measuring tapes have these at every 100 centimeters, for example, to mark your meters, or sometimes even every 10 centimeters. Now, marking that is pretty simple to follow. The next one here, you'll see this red box, and this is different on different measuring tapes, but red is a pretty common color for this, every 16 inches. That's for marking a layout so that you can mark something 16 inches on center. So we've got one at 16, 32, 48, etc. And that makes it easy to lay out a wall. You can also think of these markings as ways to divide up an 8-foot piece of sheathing. So if you do one every 16 inches, for example, that's going to give you 6 pieces or 6 joists within 8 feet. The next one will give you 5 divisions within 8 feet, and that's the little black diamonds here. So that black diamond is every 19 3/16 roughly. We'll see the next one here at about 38 3/8. And so those will break an 8-foot piece into 5 equal parts. And so you can use a little bit less lumber that way if code permits it. And then of course, you've also got every 24 inches, which will break an 8-foot section into 4 equal parts. So those are a few different ways that you can have everything broken up for you, and your measuring tape will do its best to try to help you with those markings. Number 3 on our list, sometimes it's best not to use a tape measure at all. Sometimes a measuring tape is actually more work than it's worth. For example, if I want to cut a 45 miter on the end of this piece to match with this one, I could measure this out, see that it is 1 15/16, transfer that mark over to here, mark it on the board, or an easier way, this is just a small little piece here. I can actually just put it right up top against this. I'll use this for a straight edge just to help out. Get it right there in the corner where I want it, and then mark it. Then I can take that to the saw, chop it, and we're good to go. Number 2, getting equal parts with no math. Let's say you've got a board like this that has sort of an odd measurement. Like this one, for example, measures about 8 7/16, and you want to divide this into 3 equal parts. I'm going to take the next highest number that's easily divisible by the number we want to divide by. So if I want 3 parts, 9, that's my easy one, right? So I'm going to take that 9, I can easily divide that. Anchor one end to one side, and then swing the other end until you hit that magic number, so 9 in this case. And there we go. All I'm going to do now is mark this at 6 inches and 3 inches. Now when you straighten that out, you'll find that this part, and this part are all the exact same size. You can do that with larger numbers. Let's say I want to divide by 5. So I'll move up a little bit. I'm going to pick 10 as my next number because that's easily divisible by 5. So I'll put the 10 on one side, anchor the other, and again, just work my way up. So 8, 6, 4, and 2. And there we go. Now I've got 5 equal parts on this board. And my number 1 measuring tape tip for today is using a dry erase marker to mark your measurements so you don't even have to read it. Sometimes it's easier not even to write anything down, memorize a number, any of that. You can just use any dry erase marker. The sharper the tip, the better, but this one will work just great. And let's say I need to make another cut the same width as this board. I can just mark it right there, okay? And then I can take this measurement over to the chop saw, use that same mark to make my cut. And then when I'm all done, I just wipe this off and I can start fresh. Now I've got to admit, I'm pretty curious about you. Which ones of these did you find most useful or were new to you? Leave a comment in the comment section below to share that with us. Also, if you want to see some more tips and tricks around measuring tapes, I've got episodes 2 and episodes 3 in the works. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to check those out. I'm Nils with Learn to DIY Woodworking. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.